Here I am on a nice Sunday afternoon, just trying to get a little work done, enjoying the sun while it's out. I'll tell you what, it's like Grand Central Station on this telephone. But anyway, there's some of the work that I've got to do or want to do. Those are two elms that I put on the rock the other day. I took those pieces of rock off of the rock planting over there. You can see it on that little black tub across the way. I cut pieces out and then put it on there, and I made that little planting right there. And now I'm just trying to enjoy myself before the today's Sunday's playoff football games come on. Anyway, bye, enjoy yourself. Here I am traveling across the Apalachicola River towards Blountstown, Florida, and probably 30-35 miles beyond that is Tallahassee. This is an old bridge that I remember, at least in my mind, from my childhood. Not this road here, this is new, but on the left you'll be able to see the top of the old steel rivet bridge. And that was it. I really need to be on a motorcycle driving on this. Up and down. So anyway, next stop, Tallahassee. Okay, so here I am. I'm picking this up after I've cleaned up the place and started some air layers, but this is a continuation of the road trip. All right, this is that's the base of the Brazilian Raintree, and that plant right there is my original plant, and it's about 6 feet tall right now, spreading about another 7 feet wide in total. And this right here was a little cutting that I took off about 2 years, well, we'll say 3 years ago now. It was a little cutting that I took, stuck it in the ground in front of the large tree right here, and I reset it last year, and it's grown like gangbusters. That's about just under 6 feet tall right there, but the base of it is a good 2 inches right now, and they're growing like gangbusters. Last year, right at the beginning of the 2020 year, I came and removed 2 air layers that I had set on this, and these are the 2 plants right here. Minnie and Jeff, and these about 5 feet 10 inches, somewhere in there, depends on how you measure it. And the trunks on these are virgin on 2 inches also. These are Brazilian Raintrees, and so now my project is, now that I've cleaned out the weeds and all of the underbrush here. I've assessed how things are progressing and what I really want to put in here and continue to grow. These are cuttings that I brought with me and set in the ground. They pretty much, for the most part, have doubled their size. These I rooted in my laboratory, being the mad scientist that I am, and brought these with me. That bougainvillea, I started it from a cutting, and I'll be cutting that back here shortly. And some of the cuttings I'll keep, and a lot of the others I'll just discard. There's some more rain trees underneath this angel trumpet, and that should be a yellow angel trumpet that I set in place. But right here, I set this up last year, and I set in these small cuttings, and they pretty much double their size with little or no attention. They're just planted in the ground. Whatever rainwater can get to them, whatever's in the ground. That's lemongrass right there. So these are growing well to my satisfaction. And again, my main purpose at this point was just to come clean out the weeds and assess the plants for vigor and future development. So now that I've done that, I've already determined that it's a good time, it's safe, even though here in the near future the temperature is going to drop to 39 degrees or so, but the average temperature is going to be well into the 50s overnight, that is. So for the next month or so, the weather looks to be appropriate, and I've already started some air layers. So I'll be air layering a lot of these smaller tips off, and then later on, April or so, I'll be back and I'll do the larger branches. Some of these on this I'll do right now, but these very large branch I want it to warm up a little bit more before I put on any air layers. I've got Chinese elms in here and trident maples, and I've determined that there's no benefit in me trying to grow this here. I do better with the elms and the maples at my place than they're doing here. And again, these are without any real attention. It's just whatever rain comes. But this is pretty fertile soil. It's so to speak, it's virgin soil. Nothing's grown here other than weeds. So there should be plenty of nutrients in this to get things going. I've also got bottle brush right there, Chinese bird plum back there, and there's no appreciable difference between my place and this. So those I won't consider any further development or growth here. And these are pomegranates, which they're doing okay, but nothing fantastic as far as growth goes between my place and this place. Well, they're both my place, but still the place that you're used to seeing. Now these ficus and the bougainvillea, yeah, plenty of reason to deal with this here. Lots of good steady growth. It is what, January 29th right now, January 30th actually, and we've got blooms on the bougainvilleas. Nice lush green growth. The ficus, these are Green Island, are thriving, and again, little or no attention. I come down here periodically, do some weeding, and decide if I'm going to stick more cuttings. Speaking of cuttings, right there, Carmona. We have some Carmona here, and again, just stuck straight into the soil, and they're actually taken. That piece of Carmona right there, I cut off of a larger tree that I have with me at my place up north. This is still green, even though there's no foliage on it, so it's trying to set, and I think there's hope for it. But that's a large cutting, and nearly all of these ficus pieces here, Green Island, were just cuttings. I cut this plant back at the beginning of 2020. I took another large piece with me, and then I took some of the cuttings, stuck them straight into the ground, and now they're rooted. And that plant right there also was one of the cuttings that I brought with me, like these, and then the others over there, and they've just about doubled in height. These are Carmona small starts that I brought with me and planted here. Now, some of these are Carmona that I stuck straight into the ground, like that piece right there. So it was just stuck straight into the ground, no real prep for it, and it's rooted. And this has a piece that's growing way down low, but again, as long as the soil is somewhat moist, the plants want to survive, and they'll do just what they need. So it's just a matter of giving the opportunity to the plants to survive. So again, what I'm going to do right now is more air layers, and basically I've never air layered this early in the season with such uncertainty of the weather. But again, in this part of Florida, overarchingly the weather is going to be warm compared to the north part where I actually hang out. So back to the air layer, and we'll do a further on later as I develop in this deal right here. But this is part of the road trip to my Central Florida lair. That's it. Thanks. Road trip. And we're traveling through Jacksonville now. Big city. Kinds of activity.
kind of a look at Jacksonville as we head home off of our road trip. What a trip. So next stop, Lake City, I-10. That'll be the I-10, I-75 junction.